the show now where sports and food collide. Basketball and barbecue, every fan's delight. From the court to the grill, stories we will share. Tasty bites and highlights together everywhere. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports Bytes, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride.
Welcome to Sports Bytes. Welcome to Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
It is Football Friday night. Hope you guys are doing a good, ready for the weekend. I've got some benchmark number 8. I've usually been drinking Penelope, but I've really liked the benchmark number 8 lately. For those that like bourbon, benchmark, kind of the entry level on Buffalo Trace, you know, that whole, I love it. It's a good everyday pour. You don't have to spend a whole bunch to get some really good bourbon. But what's up, guys? It's Friday night. Let's talk some ball. I mean, there's a couple ways we could do it. You see down here all the socials on X right there, on TikTok, on YouTube. Subscribe, okay? Let's get out there. Let's take part. Like I said, I love, and you can do this. Boop, boop, click, subscribe, hit the little bell, like, comment, share. There you go. That's what you do, right? But we're gonna have a good time tonight. I'm leading you guys up into the college or the Golden Boot podcast. Those guys do a great job. Can't wait to hear what they talk about tonight. Getting ready for another huge weekend in college football. A couple games going on right now. Jacksonville State, Rich Rod and the Gamecocks at Kennesaw State. Rich Rod and them are up 20-3 right now in the second on Kennesaw State. Houston, TCU, Big 12 matchup. Houston up 7-0. 8 o'clock tonight, you got Michigan State, Oregon. Dylan Gabriel. We'll see how good he could do a Big Ten game, late night, Friday night, Big Ten action. Then also UNLV Syracuse, which I think is going to be a better game than what people really give it credit for. Kyle McCord has played exceptionally well. He's a little high on the turnover margin with 5 interceptions, but still doing a really good job, throwing for almost 1,500 yards. And then, of course, everything going on with UNLV, that go-go offense. We'll see how good they can do as they're ranked in the top 25 now. Last night, Sam Houston, the Bearcats, took down the Miners of UTEP 41-21. Texas State all over Troy. And if you pay attention to Sunbelt Syndicate, if you pay attention to the Golden Boot, you know about Texas State, right? They get you all taken care of, I promise. But hope you guys are having a good Friday. Kind of give you a rundown of what we're going to do. I've got 6 games that I've picked, right? I've got 6 games that I've picked that are going to be my focus on games. Now, again, if there's something in the chat you want to comment, you want to let me know, hey, what about this game? It's an interactive show. I love to talk ball with you guys, so you just got to let me know what's going on, what's on your mind. I'm going to break down 6 games that I think are the most important. You may not think some of them are important. This is what I do. We'll go over the spread, talk about that. I'll have my Give 'em a Sixer 6 picks where I'll pick how if I was gambling, what I would do for that game, if I was taking the over, if I was going with the line, money line, stuff like that. I'm going to go over that. Also, y'all know I like to talk about food, right? I love to talk about food. That's why it's called Sports Bytes, sports and food. I get into it. I love it. I'm going to rank the top 5 pizza chains. Now, this could cause some divisiveness between some people because I know there's some people who are staunch one way and won't have another pizza chain. There's some, and I'm look, I have a story to tell you. There's one pizza chain that you'll probably be surprised is not in my top 5. I left it completely out. It's all because of a customer service experience I had, oh my gosh, 20 plus years ago? 20 plus years ago? Yeah. But we'll go over that. Like I said, first what I want to get into, so tomorrow morning, I cover UAB, get a chance to go out and be around. Last weekend, I took the weekend off. I was just going to be a fan. For those that know, Monday I went to Auburn to go watch the University of Oklahoma and Auburn play Oklahoma's first SEC road game. Got to take my kid, hang out with my sister. A lot of great football in the state of Alabama that day. Alabama, Georgia that night. You had Oklahoma, Auburn. You also had UAB, Navy. Navy looking to go 4-0, for the first time since them and Army together, first time since 1945. So really, really, important to watch. And I'm going to tell you, Horvath, the quarterback, that young man can go. Okay, don't sleep on him because he can actually get it. But I guess I missed the press conference with Trent Dilfer. Now, if you've watched the show, and I've talked a little bit about getting a chance to meet Trent Dilfer, covering UAB and being around, and I mentioned one of the things that they do. So on Monday mornings, Coach Dilfer does a coffee with Coach. And one of the first interactions, so we're sitting there in his office while the press conference is going on, his phone rings. He stops and looks at it and he goes, that's my grandson. He puts his phone down. Then he picks it up and says, you know what? I've never not answered for my grandson. I'm not going to start now. I didn't have a problem with it, right? Didn't have a problem with it. I thought being a family man, great. You still love your grandkids. Young, I'm talking like 3 tops, I think. And he's like, hey, tell everybody go Blazers. This little kid, go Blazers. I mean, like, it was awesome, right? Loved seeing that side of Trent Dilfer. Now, let's fast forward to last weekend. UAB not playing good football right now. The only win is against Alcorn State. They played well against Arkansas in a tough loss. But against ULM, against Navy, they were never in the game. And I've been there. I mean, even when I went to the Alcorn State game, I think I was one of 3 people in the press conference room with Coach Dilfer after the game when he brought a couple of the players up. Vastly different, shall I say, than doing press conferences when I covered the University of Oklahoma. A lot different. Hell, I saw more people in the Oklahoma softball post-game press conferences than I saw at UAB. But this was Trent Dilfer after the Navy game.
Go ahead.
But how much pressure does it put on you when you don't get off to that quick? With a game like this, with a team like this, that with Navy, when you get off to,
He can come up. It's like two of them. It's not like this is
Yes.
freaking Alabama. Let's go. Come on, bud. You can come up here.
And that's what started it. That's
Go ahead.
what started it.
but
And again, at first, when I wasn't there. I was off last weekend. Like I said, I went to a game as a fan. I wasn't working last weekend. Hearing that initially, and I'll talk from a part of me because I'm not from Birmingham, and I will admit I fully don't understand the UAB history. And I guess there's a bigger history with Alabama that's not a pleasant one for a lot of UAB fans. In the comments, he says, hey, my grandson can come up. There's only two. So obviously Trent Dilfer is not happy with the amount of press coverage at UAB, right? And I get it. I get it. But Coach, you had two of the top 5 games, I would say, in all of college football in your state last weekend. Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Auburn. 2 of the most watched games in all of college football last weekend, right? They're not going to go watch Navy and a 1-3 UAB team, okay? They're not going to do it. They're going to go to Georgia, Alabama, rightfully so. They're going to go to Oklahoma, Auburn, rightfully so. And I get what he's saying, that it's not the University of Alabama. I get that, right? And I don't fault him for saying that when he was talking about this isn't freaking Alabama. Now, maybe a very poor choice of words and how he said it, but I understand in that moment. Press conference, he loves his grandkids. He stopped a press conference before to talk to his grandkids. And my thing was, nobody said anything when he stopped the press conference that Monday morning when I was there to talk to his kid. Nobody said anything. Now, he also didn't say, well, it's not freaking Alabama. I'm going to talk to my grandson. Blase, blah. So that kind of kicked up a little bit of, irritation amongst the UAB faithful, right? And I started watching on social media as it was, fire Dilfer, get Dilfer out of here. He doesn't understand. He doesn't care. He hasn't won a road game since he's been here. The team's regressed from Bill Clark. You let Vincent go, and now he's at ULM. There was a lot of vitriol out there, right? Then came Monday morning, and I couldn't go. I had stuff I had to do. I couldn't be there, and I was upset that I missed it because I would have loved to have been here for this moment.
Trent, during the post-game presser, you quoted, this is not freaking Alabama. What would you say to UAB fans who may have perceived this as something that you didn't mean to say, or could you just elaborate on what you meant to say?
Were you there?
I was not there.
There's my answer.
Well, I'm here today.
There were 2 people there, okay? And my grandson wanted to come up, and I heard like a little stirring. I said, there's 2 people here. This isn't freaking Alabama's press conference. My grandson can come up.
But you are aware of this program's history.
I am very aware of this program's history.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so that was Trent Dilfer Monday morning at Coffee with Coach, and like I said, I missed. I hate that I was in Auburn for the game because I missed, the news story that's going around the South right now is Trent Dilfer, his standing with UAB. I'll be at the game tomorrow, 12 o'clock kickoff, Protective Stadium. The Tulane Green Wave come to town to take on the UAB Blazers, who might be without their quarterback Jacob Zeno. But yeah, I was hoping UAB would look a lot better this year. They haven't, and they've gotten behind relatively quickly against some teams like ULM. They jumped out on them, but I knew that game was going to be kind of tough for them because of the association of 14 former coaching staff members from UAB were on the ULM staff. Navy's coming in right now, and I tell you what, watching film on Navy, it's not just the option anymore. Like Horvath can hit you deep. They got guys on the outside that can run tunnel screens, and they're taking it to the house, right? It's different. Navy's different. They're still going to come at you with the fullback that's like 215 and can run a 4.5, that quick dive, and it's beautiful football. I love option football, right? But what was interesting about the comment is you had a chance right there to kind of say, I wasn't trying to be insensitive. My grandkid wanted to come up. It's after a loss. Your team didn't play real well. And again, I'm not condoning what he said. But in the situation on Monday, and I don't know what question I would have asked to follow up when the question was asked. You do understand the history. You do. I mean, I've been surprised, and I'm learning more about the history of this UAB Alabama kerfuffle, if you want to say it that way. All right. But Trent had a chance on Monday to kind of smooth things over, to kind of say, hey, what, and I have no problem bringing his grandkid up. And I think the majority of UAB fans feel that way too, that they're not like, hey, you brought your grandkid up. It's the fact that you said we're not frickin' Alabama. Well, no, you're not Alabama. And I think some of the fan base wants the coaches to believe they are a team capable of being in Alabama. Now, it's hard. A lot of violence in Birmingham. We talked to Coach 2 weeks ago. There was a shooting that happened. One of his players was impacted by it. He wouldn't go into further detail, which I totally understand. It is his first coaching job. Again, not giving him a pass. I'll say for me, I was a little disappointed that Trent Dilfer doubled down on what he said on Monday morning. Now, again, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be at Protective Stadium. I'll be at the Tulane UAB game because that's the early kickoff. I'll get down there. I'm going to walk the field, try to get the pulse. There's some people concerned if he's lost the team. We'll find out. We'll find out. The press conference is going to be interesting. I'm going to see how many people are in there, and see what he has. Like I said, the only home game that I had was Alcorn State. They've all been on the road, and then, like I said, last weekend I was on the road myself as a fan, just watching football and not being there. So, crazy stuff at UAB. Well, let's get into some game talk, guys. Let's hop right into it. You ready to talk some ball? Let's talk some ball. Hop in the chat. Let me know what you think. Be sure you click that like button. Click the subscribe button. Hop in the chat. Comment. Let me know what you're thinking about. What's your favorite game? What's the game you're most looking forward to today? Let me know what's going on. First game I want to talk about. Iowa, Ohio State. All right. Now, this game, there's a lot of people hoping that Iowa can actually do something in this game. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm not trying to say they're not a good football team. The spread right now is Ohio State by 18.5. Whew. Will Howard, you've got the luxury of having Jeremiah Smith, another amazing freshman wide receiver, opposite of Ryan Williams at Alabama. I'd say a bad loss for the Hawkeyes to Iowa State. A little bit suspect in the secondary. No Cooper DeJean anymore. But this game, 2:30 kickoff on CBS Paramount Plus. The Buckeyes 4-0. Now, will this defense continue to play well for the Hawkeyes? Will it give the Buckeyes some challenge? And I say this, and I know we got some people on the network that are big Iowa people, but can they beat a ranked opponent? I think it's for the first time since 2021, 2017. I can't remember. I apologize. But I talk about everyone, saying how impressive this Iowa defense was last year. And sure, they had some numbers that put them up there. But in their 3 games against ranked opponents last year, they've lost by a combined 93-0. So we'll see if they got some offense. But man, I tell you, this matchup right here, I don't think it's going to be close. What I'm interested in is the over-under. The over-under is at 45.5. And I love the over in this game, right? I don't like the points. It's a lot of points. I do think Ohio State is a far better football team. We'll see if they can actually slow them down, especially when you have Judkins and Henderson at running back for Ohio State. That's dangerous, those two, right? They can take it to the house anywhere. Then you got Jeremiah Smith, who can score from anywhere on the field. I want to see Will Howard get tested and what he can do. But I would take the over in this game. Over 45.5. Yeah. Even if you got like a 35-20 game, 38-20, you're covering spread and you're getting over, right? Yeah, this game, I'm really intrigued. I want to see how Ohio State does with actually a better defense than some of the scout teams they've run up against, right? Another one in the Big Ten that I'm really intrigued to see. Rutgers and Nebraska. Man, this game, if you had told me this was going to be a big game at the beginning of the year, I'd have told you you're crazy. There's no way that this is a big game. But sure enough, here we go. In the land of the corn, Herbie the Huskers welcoming Greg Schiano and his Scarlet Knights. Dillaroyola, 1,224 yards. And I'll probably say his name wrong. Monongai, the running back for the Scarlet Knights. Really good. Really, really good. Nebraska's got a 65.6% chance to win this game on the matchup predictor. Spread is 6.5 now by Nebraska, favored by 6.5, and over under 39.5. I don't like the over under total on that. I think you stay away from it. I mean, Rutgers sitting there at 4-0. Now Rutgers put up 44 against Howard, 49 against Akron, 26 against Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech, and a win for them, and put up 21 against Washington as they took down the Huskies. Who'd have thought Rutgers would take down the team that was in the national championship game last year, right? Nebraska, a 40-7 win over UTEP. They beat Colorado, beat Northern Iowa, then they lost to Illinois. They put up 24 in that. So it's a low number. I imagine it's going to be a field position game, and we're going to see who makes the first mistake, right? I think Greg Schiano has done a great job, and if you're looking at their schedule the rest of the way, I mean, shoot, Rutgers might have a chance to play for a Big Ten championship. You beat Nebraska, you welcome in Bucky the Badgers, you play UCLA. USC is a tough opponent. That'll be a tough game. They got to go to USC, play a game at 10 p.m. their time. So your clock's going to be all messed up. Minnesota, winnable. At Maryland, winnable. Illinois, we'll see how they keep fighting Burt Bielema's, man. They're getting it done. And Michigan State, not a good team. So Rutgers has a chance. If they win this game, they're sitting there at 5-0. 5-0. Rutgers. Greg Schiano. All right, Nebraska, again, I've said before, as an Oklahoma guy, I love seeing Nebraska back to being a relevant football team. I think this game right here, when it's over, I think whoever wins this game finds their way into the top 25. Neither team is ranked right now. Nebraska at 4-1, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Rutgers at 4-0, 1-0 in the Big Ten. I can't believe this. You can get tickets still for as low as $28. $28 to watch what I think is going to be a pretty damn good football game. Now we swing to the South, man. The SEC, again, looking at the games, there's a lot of really good games. But this one right here, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Ole Miss taking it on the chin from Kentucky last week. Can they bounce back? South Carolina dismantled Kentucky. South Carolina is a team that, barring some horrible officiating calls, and I hate even saying that the officials cost somebody a game, because I've always tried to stay away from that. But when you're watching that game, you can't come away from it thinking anything else. The roughing the passer after the interception was an absolute terrible call. He literally pushed Nussmeier. He didn't spear him. He didn't drop an elbow. He pushed him. But I digress. Lane and the Rebels always have a game where they throw up a clunker. Was that their clunker? But Kentucky was able to get to Ole Miss. They were able to get to Jackson Dart. South Carolina, really good defensive line. They were able to just discombobulate Kentucky. Brock Vandagriff didn't have time to throw the entire day. Now they're going to South Carolina. It's going to be crazy. They're going to be sandstorming it up. I think the last time Ole Miss went there, they were like a top 5 team. And Garcia, I think it was Steven Garcia beat them. But this game, man, it comes down, Sellers may be back. Rocket Sanders, I really like watching that dude run. He runs with, like, he's mad at the ground, right? Now, Ole Miss, 75.2% on the matchup predictor. Williams-Brice Stadium is going to be electric. I mean, I remember how crazy it was for the LSU game, and people were watching, and good for them. But if Sellers is healthy, if Rocket Sanders they've got to get more people involved in the offense. I think, if you're looking at receiving, Mazeo Bennett, he's really good, 11 catches. But Nick Harbor, only 4 catches. And maybe because of his speed, everybody's bottling him. I need to go back and watch the games a little more closer. But Rocket Sanders, 57 carries at 5 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. Robbie Ashford's run the ball a lot, so is Lenore Sellers. And I forgot Davis Bevel is that quarterback there. Davis freaking Bevel, who was so terrible for Oklahoma in that game when Dylan Gabriel was hurt against Texas. He's actually 4-6 for 33 yards and a touchdown. He looked like he couldn't throw a football in that Oklahoma-Texas game. It was terrible. He reminded me, what was his name? Popke from Necessary Roughness. Show him the arm. That's what he reminded me of. Not a good quarterback. But this game here, I think South Carolina needs to control the game with Rocket Sanders. I think you need to let guys like Eamon Worry do what he does. Let that defense get after Jackson Dart. Speed up his clock a little bit. Get him rattled, because that's what Kentucky did. Kentucky got to him. He was able to kind of push him to making bad decisions. And they lost at home. Ole Miss lost at home. Now, some people are saying, going on the road is a little bit easier. You like to be the bad guy. Okay. Here's your chance, guys. Going on the road. Ole Miss, South Carolina, 2:30 kickoff, ESPN. Ole Miss is favored by 8.5. The over-under 53.5. I will take South Carolina plus the 8.5. And I think I'm taking South Carolina to win straight up. I think Ole Miss is on upset alert this weekend. They dropped 2 in a row. And I'll say this, as an Oklahoma fan, sitting in Jordan-Hare Stadium, sitting in Jordan-Hare Stadium last week and seeing it scroll across that Kentucky had beat Ole Miss, I felt like, so you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. Oklahoma goes to the Grove a little bit later. But I like South Carolina in this game. They're playing at home. They know they can't lose another game if they want to be in any contention to be SEC championship, play what have you. You can't take another loss. I like South Carolina coming out and upsetting Ole Miss. It's probably going to be a close game. It's probably going to be a really good game. But I think with what South Carolina can do defensively, from the back end with Eamon to the freshman rushing up front, I like what South Carolina's defense is going to bring. Again, control the game, run the ball, make good, easy plays for Lenore Sellers. Let him create with his legs. He should be back. Robbie Ashford hasn't played terrible. So, again, and it's not, I don't have anything personal against Ole Miss. I think South Carolina's going to win. I just think they're going to win. I think South Carolina is going to put Ole Miss 2 losses. Ooh. 2 conference losses. Ooh. That'll be tough. Another big game in the SEC. Tennessee versus the Bacon Bits. Now, I'm going to say this about Tennessee. If my boy TJ is watching, no disrespect intended. Tennessee's defense is really good. Let me get that out of the way right now. I'm not trying to say that Tennessee cannot play defense at all, right? What I do want to say and caution you about is who they've put up these defensive numbers against. Now you're going to face a Bobby Petrino offense that's feeling really good about itself. You have a dynamic quarterback in Taylor Green. I think Oklahoma showed you that you can get to Nico. Now, of course, Tennessee is coming off a bye week. You had time to shore some things up. I think they're getting guys back on the offensive line. But that game right there, I mean, it's not a gimme for Tennessee. You're going on the road. They're going to be pig sueying it up. And Nico's really impressive. Again, let me say that as an Oklahoma fan, hats off, Tennessee. You came and did what you were going to do. But when you look at what Tennessee has done defensively, Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, and an anemic OU offense that benched its starting quarterback at halftime. Now, I don't want to hear people say, they took the foot off the pedal, but they blitzed more on Michael Hawkins Jr. than they did Jackson Arnold. They did. So this one's going to be interesting. I want to see what can Sam Pittman conjure up in this game. They're still kicking themselves from losing that Oklahoma State game when they had a big lead on the road, which if they win that game, they're ranked, and we're talking about a completely different scenario. Maybe game day is there instead of Can I talk about game day for a second? All right, let me talk about game day for a second. Cal Miami? Really? Cal Miami. That's where you're going. Cal Miami. I don't like it. I mean, I know people are tired. They're saying SEC bias is fine. I mean, I know next week you've got a bunch of games. I think Oregon, Ohio State is next week, but Iowa, Ohio State. You've already been to South Carolina. I got it. You didn't want to go there. A&M, the land of the gigawhoops, A&M and Missouri. I'm going to talk about that game. It's on my list. Heck, go to Navy's on the road. They're playing Air Force on the road. I say go to Navy. Give them a chance to shine. Rutgers, Nebraska. You're not going to Alabama, Vanderbilt, that's for sure. Boise, you're on the West Coast. I mean, I don't know, not a great selection of games, but still, Duke, Miami and Cal. Woke versus Coke. That's what everybody's calling it, right? Woke versus Coke. I don't think it's going to be a good football game at all. But back to the Tennessee-Arkansas game I was talking about. I'm very intrigued to see what this Tennessee defense can do against an offense that's going to test it. Now, again, Tennessee's defensive line, really good. I take nothing away from them. I'm not saying they're bad. But again, similar to what I talked about with Iowa last year, do it against better opposition, if that makes sense. And I think Arkansas will test them. Now, again, everything that they're doing offensively for Tennessee, chef's kiss, man. They're getting it done. Nico Iamaleava, 7 touchdowns. He's got 2 picks. He's got a couple fumbles. Sampson at running back is an absolute sledgehammer, a thumper. Jaquindon Jackson for Arkansas. Love what he does running the football. Taylon Green turns the ball over a little much. That's why it's going to be interesting to see if Tennessee's defense can get to him and force his clock to speed up and maybe make him have an errant throw, right? Because he's got 5 touchdowns, but he also has 5 interceptions on the year. But Bobby Petrino is going to have something for this Tennessee defense. Now the spread, Tennessee's favored by 13.5. Okay. I like the over of 56.5 in this game. Like, I like the over a lot. I think both teams are going to score. Again, Oklahoma gave away opportunities twice, having the ball on the plus side of the field against Tennessee. That resulted in no points. But again, Taylon Green's had a propensity for turning the football over as well. So can they play clean football? Can they put pressure on Nico Iamaleava or not? Do you think Tennessee's on upset alert? I don't. I don't think Tennessee's on upset alert. I'd love to see it, but I don't think they're on upset alert. Right? I love Josh. I'm happy for Josh. You know, doing good. You can still get tickets for $44 to this game, guys. $44 to watch this game. Tennessee and Arkansas. It's crazy to think about that. Now, this game right here, I love this game, right? Navy, Air Force. Navy's good, guys. Like, Navy's good. I pray and hope. I don't know if it's going to be possible. Navy's got, they've got, here's what's crazy. So Navy's got Charlotte after this game. Then their game with Notre Dame. A ranked Navy team coming in to touchdown Jesus? Oh my gosh. With all the history, that's a game day game. That's game day, right? And I had to look at the schedule. But at South Florida, tough. Tulane, tough. And then you got Army. But if Army can make, oh my God, Army can make it. I would love to see the Commander-in-Chief trophy go up in an undefeated matchup between Army and Navy. I don't know if it'll happen. Army, they play at Tulsa. They should win that game. UAB goes up there. They should win that game. East Carolina, Air Force is not that good. North Texas, not that. They play Notre Dame as well. So, man, if Notre Dame took L's to Northern Illinois, Army, and Navy, would they fire Freeman? Would they get rid of him? Because that'd be a hard pill to swallow for the Golden Domers, right? But Navy, back a good football team. Again, I had a chance to talk to Coach Dilfer the week that they were playing Navy, and he mentioned, look at their quarterback, Horvath, right? Blake Horvath, the junior from Hillard, Ohio, is doing everything. So far, he's 30 of 44, 637 yards, 7 touchdowns. Now, I want you to go back, and you can YouTube it. Just go YouTube the highlights of the Navy UAB game. The way Horvath, and again, being an Oklahoma guy, the option football, it made my heart feel good watching these guys run the option. They are fantastic. He had a little shake, had a little shimmy. He's hitting deep passes. They're throwing tunnel screens, everything. Blake Horvath leading the way. Not only is he your leading passer, he's your leading rusher with 47 carries, 450 yards. He's responsible for 15 touchdowns on the year. They've got guys. Heidenreich can run. He outran 3 UAB defenders on a. Navy is good. Navy is really good. And I can't wait. They play Air Force. Now, again, it's rival You're playing up there in Colorado Springs. The air's a little bit thinner. You got to be kind of careful about, but they're used to it. Those guys are used to it. You got option versus option. Again, now Navy has a little more complete offense, I would think, being able to run out of multiple formations. Still, everything comes from that triple option base, right? And it's fun to watch. And man, are they good with it. They are good with it. Now, they take on the Air Force Falcons this year, who are not a very good football team this year, unfortunately. Air Force is 1-3, Navy 4-0. The U.S. Air Force Academy, Falcon Stadium should be a great day. It's a morning game. The spread, Navy by 10 and over, under 36.5. I like Navy to cover the 10 points there. I really do. I think Navy is just going to pull away from them like they did against UAB. I mean, they scored quick and often, and the game got away from UAB really, really quick, right? I expect kind of the same thing with this Air Force weekend. Now, what I think is the game of the week, my number one game, it's the only game with top 25 opponents, right? Now, I don't know if that means it's going to be the game of the week or not. Mizzou and A&M. Now, if you've listened to the show for any time, you know I'm not sold on Eli Drinkwitz. The wrong O'Shea brother is what I call him. But you got to give credit where credit's due. He has a good offense. Brady Cook, really good at quarterback. Luther Burden, good. Theo Weiss, good. Now, you don't have the same kind of ground game you had last year. Now, Nate Knowles done a good job for you. 441 yards, but only 2 touchdowns. And Missouri struggled a little bit, right? Missouri struggled. Boston College struggled with Vanderbilt. And now you're going on the road to the land of the Giga Whoops, the boops, swaying, farmers fight, all that stuff. You're going to go down there. They're swaying. You get motion sickness. If you've never been to Kyle Field, like if you're down on field level and you look up and they start doing all that swaying, it'll get you in the stomach. You'll get a little bit queasy feeling about it. But this is what I think about the game. The new quarterback, and you could go back, pull tape, right? I'm not afraid. Go back, pull tape. The beginning of the year, what did I say about Connor Wegman? I didn't think he was the guy, right? I didn't think he was the guy. Was not sold on him. Everyone's saying, man, this guy right here. And Vandy Chris, if you're out there, man, Marcel Reed from Nashville, Tennessee, a freshman. This guy, he reminds me a lot, if you go back to like the middle 2000s when A&M had Reggie McNeil and was just a thorn in everybody's side. I love Marcel Reed. Watching him play, freshman, 6'2", 180, probably want a little bit more weight on him, but 6'2", 180? And what he's doing on the field, he again, when you talk about teams responding, you look at Oklahoma, how they responded with Michael Hawkins Jr. I think this team, and believe me, I'm not a fan of A&M. Probably one of the most, and if you're an A&M fan, I apologize, one of the most delusional fan bases in all of college football. Missouri, I think, is riding a lot on the coattails of last year, beating a depleted Ohio State team. Again, that's why I think this should be the first week that everybody's rated going into October. I don't think there should be any rankings in the first week, the first 4 weeks of the season through the month of September. I don't think anybody should be ranked because I don't think Missouri is the number 9 team in the country. I just don't. A&M, I mean, they scuffled. They had that tough loss to Notre Dame, beat McNeese, beat Florida, struggled a little bit with Bowling Green, still got the win, and they beat Arkansas. I mean, it's that was, and of course that's the last year that Arkansas and A&M are going to play at Jerry's World. But I love what Marcel Reed brings to the ball game for the A&M Fighting Aggies. Again, go back. If you don't know who McNeil is, Reggie McNeil, when he was a quarterback at A&M, go back and watch tape on him and then watch Marcel Reed. Very, very similar. That was back in the A&M Big 12 days when they would come to Oklahoma in their band, marching, doing everything like that. But I love this game. I think this is going to be the best game of the day. But upset alert, right? I think the higher ranked team is going down. I think Missouri loses this game. But what's funny, you're the number 9 team, and it's moved now. Missouri is a 2.5 point favorite. So the line has moved a lot. Missouri with a 51.8% chance to win according to the matchup predictor. It's 11 a.m. game. Believe me, this is why I love YouTube TV. If you're still stuck with DirecTV, I'm sorry. Get to YouTube TV. I freaking love YouTube TV. And I've got it on my computer and stuff. So I'm going to be up in the press box tomorrow for the Tulane UAB game. I'm going to have my laptop open, and I'm going to have 4 games going on. I'm going to have 5 football games tantalizing me at one time tomorrow. That's why I love college football. But I like A&M in this game. I like A&M to win it. I like them to win it outright. I would probably go the over. 47.5, I'd probably take the over in that game. But yeah, a lot of really good football. Other games of interest, you go back to, give you an update real quick. Kennesaw State fighting back at halftime. 21-17, Jacksonville State. Rich Rod playing actually pretty good football. Houston Cougars up 17-0 on TCU. Later, getting ready to kick off here in about 20 minutes, Michigan State and Oregon, as well as on FS1, Syracuse, UNLV. Last night I mentioned Texas State took down Troy 38-17, Sam Houston 41, UTEP 21. Other games of interest, SMU Louisville I think is a really key. I think it's a good ACC game, and it was between that and Navy Air Force for me as far as one of my top 6 games. But I had to go with Navy. Being a Navy guy myself, had to go with it. Pitt, North Carolina, good. I tell you a game that's going to be sneaky good. Duke and Georgia Tech. How about that game? I think, Georgia Tech is a 9-point favorite on a 5-0 Duke team. Now, they've found ways to win, right? Malik Murphy at quarterback, the build-a player. He's got 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's not running a lot, which I'm kind of surprised because that was one thing when he went to Texas, everyone talked about his athleticism and what he was going to do, right? But that game, man, Duke getting 9 points. Whoo. I'd like that one. And just overall for a game in the ACC, I love that. Auburn, Georgia, South's oldest rivalry. Can Carson Beck not have his girlfriend come to his defense when people were making fun of him? But I get it. Someone was making fun of my better half. I'd come after him too. I think Auburn is reeling. Georgia is a better team, but again, in rivalries, you never know. And Auburn, I say this about Auburn. They're not a terrible football team. They just can't get out of their own way. Can't get out of their own way, right? They're a couple turnovers away from being 5-0. There's no way Oklahoma should have won that game last week. And I'll say it, being there in the stadium. No. Indiana looking to go 6-0. How about that? They're loving it, Indiana. West Virginia, Oklahoma State, trying to save their seasons, period. Clemson, Florida State. How about Clemson being a 2-touchdown favorite? Florida State is a 2-touchdown dog at home. And this is one of those games that if Clemson want to continue to climb after they lost to Georgia like that, I think Clemson is going to have to put up style points. Now, granted, if you go out, you win the ACC, you're going to get one of the 4 bids, plain and simple. But to continue to impress everybody, Clemson is going to have to continue to do what they've been doing the last couple weeks, plain and simple. James Madison and ULM, really good group of 5 game. Can James Madison score up to 70 again? I don't know. A rematch of the national championship game, and nobody's talking about it. Michigan, Washington. Washington favored by 1.5. They're at Husky Stadium in Seattle. I mean, Alex Orgy, listen to this. And I heard this stat, and I couldn't believe it. When you hear what Orgy has thrown for, it's Alex Orgy, 20 of 36, 133 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now he's carried the ball 32 times, 15 yards, or 113 yards. I don't know. I think Michigan is a better football team than Washington this year, going on the road. There's probably going to be some players on that team that remember what happened last year in that national championship game. I still think Michigan wins that. But, like I said, I'll be at the UAB Tulane game. Tulane favored by 17. Mensa, the young freshman quarterback, has really played well. Tough losses to Oklahoma and Kansas State. Mario Williams, former Sooner, former USC Trojan, leading the way receiving for the Tulane Green Wave. But other than that, again, it's just another great college football weekend. Then next weekend, next Football Friday, oh my gosh, guys. You want to talk about some of the games next Football Friday or next weekend? Memphis, South Florida's Friday night. I think that's a good game. Coastal Carolina, James Madison, intrigued there. You've got South Carolina, Alabama. Big game. You've got the Red River rivalry, Texas and Oklahoma at the fairgrounds. Love it. USC, Penn State. That's a huge game, right? Tennessee, Florida. Florida's not that good. Still a bit. Ohio State, Oregon. Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, there's some damn good football games next weekend. I would imagine, I'll say this. I know there's some people who aren't going to like it. I think game day comes down to what they want, how Oregon looks tonight. If Oregon looks really good, game day will probably go to Columbus for Oregon, Ohio State, right? If Oregon scuffles, and I know they've already been to Oklahoma once this year for the Oklahoma-Tennessee game, but the first Red River rivalry in the SEC could go that way. Now, I'll say this. If I was betting money on where game day will be next weekend, I say it's Ohio State, Oregon, where Lee Corso first put on a mascot head all those years ago. Love it. So, yeah, it's going to be some good football. Hey, for those who play fantasy football, I hope you didn't have Kirk Cousins bench last night. Kirk Cousins going for 509 yards, getting the win. Kudos to Kirko, swag surfing. If you haven't watched the quarterback series on Netflix, go watch it. You'll really respect Kirk Cousins after it, right? Now, you know this. I always talk about food. Food's one of my favorite things to talk about. That's why the show is called Sports Bytes. I talk about food, and I talk about sports and how you combine them. And a lot of people, when they watch sports, when they watch football, they get pizza. That's why now it's time to talk about my top 5 pizza chains. All right? Now, this may upset some people. You can comment in the chat. You can tell me I'm stupid. You can tell me I'm wrong. This is my opinion on pizza. Now, number 5. Little Caesars. Hot and ready. Got to go. The little pizza. I like it. Crazy bread. Good stuff. Undercooked dough. Whatever. Simple, solid, effective. My kids love it. On a rush night, you can go get some hot and readies. Be good to go. Their deep dish isn't bad. If you haven't had the deep dish, and listen, I said, this is not just on a specific singular pizza. This is as a chain as a whole, how I'm ranking my top 5. Little Caesars, number 5. If you have Marco's, I like Marco's. Marco's is really good. I like their cheeseburger pizza. I think, they put like a cheddar blend on it. Again, solid, good. They've got pastas. They've got the salads. Love it. Right? My number 3, Pizza Hut. Now, I used to be a huge Pizza Hut fan. When the stuffed crust pizza came out, loved it. Barbecue chicken. And I love seeing all the memories on social media when people are like, 80s and 90s Pizza Huts were a completely different vibe. You had the one little section in the corner that had the little Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, all that, the little one that you set out, you put your quarters in, you could eat your pizza on there. The buffet. Pizza Hut used to be, it's kind of gone down. Sometimes, the dough for, the crust, a little bit much will sit heavy. But again, Pizza Hut, it's a solid 3rd for me. Number 2 might surprise you guys. Hungry Howie's. The flavored pizza crust. You can get some Cajun flavored pizza crust with a chicken bacon pizza. Their cheese bread, Howie bread. Yeah, buddy. If you don't have Hungry Howie's in your area, I'm sorry. They make really good sandwiches. They got like a chicken parm sandwich. Love Hungry Howie's. Now, my number 1. Domino's. Domino's is my number 1 pizza chain in America. Their pan pizza is phenomenal. There's that new viral pizza going out that people are hammering. I'll probably try it next weekend for the Oklahoma-Texas game. The Parmesan white sauce, the Philly steak, bacon. You put your regular cheese, then you have like a cheddar blend on it, on the pan pizza. Woo. Their little garlic bites that they have now, just pop them in, you're good to go, right? I love Domino's. So some of you are probably saying, Chris, that's an interesting top 5. Little Caesars at 5, Marco's at 4, Pizza Hut's at 3, Hungry Howie's at 2, Domino's at 1. Now, some of you may be asking, well, where's Papa John's? Papa John's will never be on my list. And it goes back to a Monday Night Football interaction. When I was living in Oklahoma City, there was a Papa John's within a mile of where I lived. And it was standard. Monday night, I call, get 2 pizzas, the breadsticks, that cheese sauce, the pepper. I loved Papa John's. Loved it. That was the only pizza for the longest time I would eat. Now, I'm old enough to also remember when Little Caesars was really good pizza, and it came in the big package with 2 pizzas in it, and you didn't want to move it because then the paper comes down, and you got paper cheese. It's just crazy. So it's a Monday Night Football night. I make my call to Papa John's. Hey, here we go. Give me the meat pizza, order a breadsticks with the cheese sauce, everything. Let's go. Had 1 or 2 people coming over, nothing crazy, just, a couple beers, a couple pieces of pie. Everybody watched some football. Pizza comes, you open it up, and it looks chef's kiss. Melty, bubbly cheese. Crust looks good. Everything. So I'm like, okay, here we go. I go to pull out a slice, and it's sloppy. And I look at it, it's like the dough, it's like they ran it just enough to melt the cheese. The dough looked like when you cracked open a can of biscuits, right? I took a bite, I was like, it's raw. It's like it's not cooked. How that happened, I don't know, because the crust was actually really good at the end. But underneath, just it wasn't cooked. So I was not a fan of that. And so I call up there and I'm like, hey guys, got a pizza just delivered and it's not cooked. It's still raw. And the person was like, well, did you take a bite of the pizza? Well, hell yeah, I took a bite of the pizza. That's why I'm calling you, telling you that it's raw. This girl has the nerve to say, well, just put it in the oven and cook it. Heifer, that's why I paid you the money to get it here. That's your job. She said, well, because you ate some of the pizza, there's nothing we can do. Oh, nothing you can do. Okay, bet. So I take the 2 pizzas, load them into my car, drive the less than a mile away, pull up to the front. Now, for those of you old enough, do you remember when you used to go to like McDonald's? You take the pickle off your Big Mac or something like that, throw it up against the window and watch it slide down? That's what I did with the Papa John's pizzas. Walked up to the window, opened the box, flung it at the door, splat. Never again. And I've not been to Papa John's since. My wife always says I can hold a grudge. But I just cook it yourself. That's what I paid you $20-some for, is to cook the pizza. All I'm saying is, can I get another one made? I'll bring it, whatever. No, just cook it yourself. Well, you ate some of it, so there's nothing we could do. Customer service, man. Customer service will save you. But, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me on this Friday night. I appreciate everybody that stopped by. Those who sent comments, well wishes, thank you. It is truly appreciated. But again, man, some good football. Houston scored again right before half, 24-6. They're up on TCU. Ooh, not good for TCU. I'm intrigued about this Oregon-Michigan State game. UNLV-Syracuse is intriguing as well. But enjoy your football weekend, guys. Enjoy it. Follow the college football dogs. We also got some cool stuff happening with the Maxwell Football Club. Pay attention. We got some really cool things coming down the pipe. Golden Boot Podcast is going to be up next. All right. Those guys do a great job. Vandy, Chris, Cody, George. And again, watch Rock Hard Ball. The college villains, Andrew and those guys do a great job. Again, don't show up to their show if you're thin-skinned, right? Sunbelt Syndicate, if you want some of the best group of 5 talk out there, watch the Sunbelt Syndicate. They do a fantastic job. But we'll have you covered. No matter what conference you like, what team you like, there is a person covering that team writing. There's usually a show about it. We have a big game day show. We talk about everything. Just support the college football dogs because it's coming. Again, follow all the socials down here. Sports Bytes Pod 1 on X. Follow at Sports Bytes Pod on TikTok. At Sports Bytes Podcast for YouTube. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit the follow button. You know, I show people all the time. You can just do this. Boop, boop, boop. Now, also, order now at Dubby. If you're looking for some clean energy, order at Dubby. If you're looking for clean energy, there you go. You can use the code SportsBytes20 and get 20% off your order. Right? Now, one more thing I forgot. I forgot to do this, and I'm sorry. But I'm going to go over them.
We're gonna count it down real quick. Top 6 in Sports Bytes mix. What's popping in your town? We're bringing it all around. Give them a sixer. Top
Here's my give them a sixer 6
You know we're
picks.
here to fix
Right?
ya. Best of the best.
This is where I take the 6 important games that I picked out for the weekend, and I give what I think. So far in the year, I'm 18-12. 4-1 on my locks. I've done pretty good on my locks, guys. Right now, number 1, Texas A&M. I've got minus a 2.5. I love that. I love that pick. I think Texas A&M wins that game. I don't think Missouri is going to be able to pull it off, right? My lock is Navy. Navy minus 9.5. I think they're just going to be too much for Air Force. I know, familiarity makes interesting bedfellows. I got it. Styles make fights. Whatever you want to say, right? But in this, I like Navy to win by more than, I like them to win by more than 10. I think they put it on Air Force pretty easily. I like Rutgers getting 7 points over Nebraska. Nebraska could probably win the game. I think Rutgers is going to win the game. I think they're playing a little bit cleaner. I'm still not sold 100% on Dylan Raiola. Go back to that Illinois game. Looked like a freshman at times when the pressure got to him. So I would be kind of leery on Nebraska. A touchdown too. Greg Schiano's going to have a tough team, and they're going to run the football, right? They're going to run the football, try to get the crowd out of it. I like Rutgers +7. South Carolina, I like them straight up, right? I think South Carolina is going to beat Ole Miss. And it's not a knee-jerk reaction because Ole Miss lost last week. Watch the games. South Carolina should be undefeated. And again, as a former referee, I hate bringing up officiating. But some of the calls in that LSU South Carolina game, I have no idea what they were thinking. I have no idea. And I can't defend that anymore. I can't. But I like South Carolina +9. I almost made that my lock. Because I think South Carolina is going to beat Ole Miss straight up. But just according to the spread, +9, give me South Carolina +9 all day. Tennessee versus Arkansas, I like the over 56.5. I think both teams are going to score. Again, this is going to be the first really effective offense that Tennessee has seen, because what they saw in their last game against Oklahoma, that's not an effective offense. I still don't think Oklahoma's offense is going to be what it's going to be probably until after South Carolina, maybe even Maine. Seeming that last push for Missouri, Alabama, LSU, and not saying they're winning the games, but and Tennessee did a good job taking what Oklahoma did away from them, right? Confusing Jackson Arnold, forcing the turnovers, especially after quick turnovers when they turned it over themselves. So Tennessee over Arkansas, I like the over of 56.5 in that. I think both teams are going to score points. Bobby Petrino, he's gonna cook up something. Taylor Green can't turn the ball over. He's had a propensity for doing that. They can play clean football. I think it's going to be a close game. That's why I think it could be a shootout. And I like Tennessee, Arkansas. I like the over in that game. Also, Iowa and Ohio State. I know people may think you're nuts in the head for saying Iowa and an over. I think their ground game, they could pop one here and there, but I like Jeremiah Smith. When you have Quinshawn Judkins and Henderson at running back, it's a two-headed monster that you don't want to mess with. I like the over 45.5, right? Even a 28-20 game, you're over. And I think you might see something like that. But my lock is Navy, -9.5 over Air Force. Like I said, I'm 18-12 on the year, 4-1 on my locks. See if I can keep that positive streak going. It's going to be a good football weekend. Like I said, I will be at the Tulane UAB game covering that. Seeing if maybe there's something that Trent Dilfer says this time. I don't know. Like I said, I hate that I missed last weekend's media cycle with UAB, because it's all anybody's talking about around here in Birmingham. But, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. I see 81 people in here right now. Thank you so much. Thank you for the likes, for the comments. I love talking ball with you guys. Follow. I'm going to start putting more stuff out on TikTok. I'm doing TikTok lives. I might try to go TikTok live from Protective Stadium tomorrow. Do a little bit of live broadcast during warm-ups. See if maybe I can sneak an interview with one of the players, before the game. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. They're in game mode. I don't mess around with that. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good weekend. Enjoy the football tonight. Oregon, Michigan State should be an interesting game. I want to see how good Gabriel plays. And UNLV Syracuse, I think it'll be a better game than people really have given credit to. Kyle McCord playing really good football for the Syracuse Orange, and then that go-go offense at UNLV. But that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. I'm going to go finish my benchmark number 8, bourbon. I love talking ball. I love talking food. I love talking ball and food with you guys. Remember to always positively move forward. We'll talk to you on Monday. Reaction Monday, 7 o'clock. Same locations. Come back. We'll have all the reactions. We'll talk about if it's an overreaction or it's the right reaction. We're going to talk about it. But I thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend. And remember to always positively move forward.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.